So we had the launch press conference for Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev. The two fighters came face to face. I spoke recently about Eric Gomez, who's one of the top brass there at Golden Boy, saying how difficult it was to get this deal done. And just to expand on that a little bit, obviously I'm not an insider in the situation, so all I'm doing is speculating. I could be wrong, but ESPN is obviously a rival of DAZN. Bob Arum has been speaking disparagingly of DAZN consistently, week in, week out. DAZN this, DAZN. He's trashing DAZN. Funny enough, when DAZN first launched, Bob Arum was praising it, but now he's trashing it. So I suspect that it may have been Bob Arum who is trying to throw a spanner in the works, because of course Canelo versus Kovalev is going to be on DAZN, right? So maybe Bob Arum, didn't want DAZN to have that particular event. Maybe he was looking for ESPN to try and make a deal to have Canelo fight on their platform, even though Canelo has an exclusive deal with DAZN. Maybe they were trying to force something or try and figure something out. I don't know. It's pure speculation, but it is interesting when Eric Gomez says this was an extremely difficult deal for Golden Boy to make, trying to fight Kovalev. I mean, some people could say it's nothing to do with Kovalev's team, and it's probably an internal struggle between Canelo and Golden Boy. Maybe it's that too, but it's the fact that he said when we sat down with Cafe Duva. He didn't say when we sat down with, the ESPN people, or when we sat down with Bob Arum. Obviously, Cafe Duva is Kovalev's promoter, but I don't know. It's just the way that Eric Gomez phrased it, saying when we finally sat down with Cafe Duva, Kovalev's promoter, then we managed to get it done. Who were you sitting down with before? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, moving on to the fight itself. Never mind all the business for now. Kovalev's obviously a hell of a lot bigger. It's not the first time Canelo's fought somebody a lot bigger. I mean, Danny Jacobs was a lot taller, Rocky Fielding, obviously. But none of those guys have got the punching power of a Sergey Kovalev. And Kovalev's obviously a very well-schooled boxer. And he's gone back to his boxing, which is what you have to do as you age as a fighter. You can't be the destroyer the older you get. Yeah, even if you can still punch, you're going to have to be a bit more wily than that, a bit more crafty than that. And that's what Sergey Kovalev has gone back to. An excellent choice by Kovalev to hire Buddy McGirt as a trainer. Excellent choice at this stage of his career. He understands that he can't do the same things today that he was able to do when he was, 30, 31, 32. And this is something that I heard Buddy McGirt talking about, actually. This is one of the conversations that he's had with Kovalev. He said, Kovalev needs to understand he's not a young guy anymore. And so he has to adjust his training program accordingly. Kovalev is notoriously moody, can be quite a difficult character to train. And Buddy McGirt said, we have our ups and downs, but I know how to make Kovalev laugh. So when Kovalev's in one of his moods, I'll do something silly to make him laugh and lighten the mood again. And that's part of being a trainer, is understanding the psychology of your fighter and what to do if your fighter's in a particular mood, which is not conducive to, either you working with them or them producing their best form, knowing how to get around that. So Kovalev, interestingly enough, said that he would have retired if he'd lost to Anthony Yarde, okay? Which shows you that he's got one eye on retirement anyway. So if he defeats Canelo Alvarez, I'm sure he'll have one or two more fights after that, but the end is in sight for Sergey Kovalev, win or lose at this point. And you do have to wonder, with that kind of mentality, is he willing to go through the fire against Canelo Alvarez? Because Kovalev's been in some tough fights now. Yeah? And obviously he just came out of a tough fight with Anthony Yarde where he barely survived that 8th round. Now that was in front of his people in Russia. If he's in a similar situation against Canelo Alvarez in the United States on DAZN, will he show that same kind of tenacity? Maybe he will. We'll have to wait and see. But Canelo is certainly the younger guy, the fresher guy, and I know it's fashionable to hate on whoever's popular. In this case, Canelo Alvarez, because he gets a lot of favors from judges and all this kind of stuff. He's got this big machine behind him. I know it's fashionable and trendy to diss Canelo and try and discredit him. But let's be real. What Canelo is doing here is fantastic. This is a massive challenge for Canelo Alvarez. Never mind that Kovalev is an aging fighter. He's still a world-class fighter. He's still right up there. Yeah? The win over Alvarez in the rematch was only 2 fights ago. All right? Or the fight before the yard fight. Alvarez, a world-class light heavyweight, schooled him. So Kovalev is no cupcake at 175. And for a guy coming up from 160, that's a massive challenge. So we have to tip our hats. We have to take our hats off to Canelo Alvarez for what he's attempting to do here. Obviously, the judges and all that kind of stuff are not going to be too sympathetic for Kovalev in this fight. Kovalev is going to try box. It's difficult to try box Alvarez. Danny Jacobs found that out because Canelo Alvarez has got such fantastic head movement at this point in his career that he can get away from a jab. The jab of a much taller guy. So I think it's an absolutely fascinating fight. I much prefer this fight to the Golovkin-Rubber match because we know how Canelo Golovkin looks. We don't know how Canelo Kovalev looks. Intriguing. See, Canelo and Golovkin are the same size, right? Or a very similar size. Canelo and Kovalev, different size men. Kovalev might not be the most massive light heavyweight out there, but he's still been campaigning at that weight division for his whole professional career. Canelo Alvarez started at what? Welterweight? And obviously he's grown because he turned professional very young. But now, he's definitely the significantly smaller man. In terms of, I don't know what they're going to weigh when they get in the ring. Maybe they'll weigh the same. I don't know. So maybe I should take that back and say he's the significantly smaller man. But he's certainly not used to taking punches from people as powerful as Sergey Kovalev. Okay, Kovalev is acclimatized to the light heavyweight division. He's used to fighting guys of that size. So it's Canelo who's going to have to adjust to the power. It's Canelo that's going to have to adjust to the physical strength, etc., etc. And, maybe he'll adjust very well. Canelo's a bull. He's built like a little Mexican Mike Tyson. So maybe he'll adjust very well. See, the thing about Canelo Alvarez, despite the fact that he has that physicality, it's like a little Mexican Tyson in terms of the way he's built. Not in terms of the way he fights, but the way he's built. He is much more of a boxer than Mike Tyson. Tyson was an out-and-out pressure fighter, very aggressive, hyper-aggressive, and would usually lead with punches, but was very good at countering as well, Mike Tyson on the front foot. Canelo Alvarez is a guy who fights at a far more measured pace, even against a taller opponent. Very measured, very calculated in what he's doing. Very much the chess player, Canelo Alvarez. So you have to be careful what moves you make because they will be countered. Yeah. Fascinating fight. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. I think DAZN really should be happy with this because there's been talk from people like Teddy Atlas and Bob Arum that DAZN have not been doing well in terms of driving subscriptions. But a fight like this, Canelo versus Kovalev, that should drive subscriptions. Yeah, whenever Canelo fights, it's going to drive subscriptions. But when he's got a dance partner like the Crusher, they should do good numbers. And it should be a good fight. I'm expecting a much more intriguing and compelling fight here than what we got with Canelo versus Danny Jacobs. That's for sure. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, people. Canelo versus the Crusher. Who wins? How does this fight play out? It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.